Hey guys, this is week 6 Project Life, and today I am going to use the brand new Weekender Life Crafted kit from Citrus Twist. Now I'll be honest, I've pretty much demolished this kit already, so you're going to be seeing a few videos with this kit this month. It is really gorgeous and is available in the store right now, so if you're on the fence, I would head over and pick one up for yourself. Now I'm starting with my photos like always, except that I had a few extra photos this week, so I've sort of rearranged how I'm going to configure my photos. I've got a few extra 3x4 photos in here and a couple of extra smaller ones, and I wanted to leave a space in this spread for that journal card that says "Let us be on our way," because I think it works so nicely with the photo of me and Lil going for a walk. So that's where I'm starting. These bottom two pockets down here, I have trimmed the paper down to be 4x6, and I am going to just adhere my photos on top of that, just so it's a little bit sturdier in the pocket. Sometimes I do like trim a 3x4 card or a bit of paper and sort of washi tape them together, but today I just wanted to make them a little bit sturdier, so I'm going to adhere the photos straight down on top. Now I've kind of got a pretty heavy colour scheme here, going teal and yellow. I liked the yellow because there were a couple of little pops of yellow in my photos, my coffee cup at the top, and of course the Citrus Twist design team announcement down there on the left. So the teal and yellow worked nicely, but I am going to try and break it up a little bit by adding some of the pink and some of the other colours from the kit, just because at the moment it sort of felt a little bit sort of themey for me, so that's what I'm intending to do. At the top there for my title card, it's kind of a neutral looking card, but it actually has the teal and yellow in it, so that's going to be one of my main places for adding a few extra colours in there. Now I'm just going through some of the die cuts there, pulling out ones that I think I could use. There are a few kind of tab looking die cuts in there, and I was maybe too determined to use those. I picked out 3, and I don't end up using 3 just because I couldn't make the other one work. I had 2 and I really wanted a third one so that I could have my 3 points of interest, but you know, when it comes to trying to force something like that, you're better off just keeping 2. So this is where I've configured one of those tabs. I've put it in behind the little square photo here, but I decided that I wanted to fancy up the card a little bit and add some of the stamping from the stamp set. And this is actually the Traveler's Notebook stamp set this month. I wanted to add one of the sentiments from there. I had already stuck that photo down, but it peeled off not too badly. And you can see here that this is actually a card rather than a paper. And I've just covered up the sentiment with the photo because it said feeling moody, and I definitely was not. I've also done my stamping in a teal coloured ink, so it's sort of tone on tone with the card rather than stamping in black like I normally would. I just didn't want it to stand out too much. I just wanted to add a little bit of sort of texture to that card. This is something that I'm going to repeat again on this, the bottom photo down here that has the other little small photo and the tab on it. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just looking for a suitable sentiment stamp to use for that. When I was looking through this 4x6 Weekend Life stamp set, I found a couple of stamps that I wanted to stack up and create a sentiment on this photo of Lil. This time I am going to stamp it in black just so that it stands out off the photo a little bit. I'll end up adding some other stuff to this photo as well too, but I was kind of just using what I found at the time instead of my kind of normal recipe scenario. So that wasn't necessarily a fail, but it did add a little something extra to that card photo, that I probably wouldn't have normally. So it's at this point here that I decide I don't need to have the 3 tabs. I'm just going to use the 2. I'm going to add this one to my photo, and then I go ahead and like re-adhere it back to the card before I realized that no, I could do the same sort of stamping technique on here, and that gives me that little bit of consistency in the spread. And I am going to use that same teal ink again. It's a Catherine Paula ink. I can't quite remember the name of it, but I really love the way it stamps. So I stamped a few on there. I'm not actually like ghost stamping, I'm just kind of repeat stamping in a really random way. The first card that I did, I kind of went from the top left to the bottom right, and on this bottom card I've sort of gone the opposite way. So I've started at the top right and gone down to the bottom left just to give a little bit of movement. Now I'm having another go at these die cuts and going back through them again just to see if there were any other ones. Since I'm not going to use that tab thing, I decided to go back through and see if there were any other sentiments to use, and I did find a couple. I'm going to add one just really simply to the bottom of the photo of Lil, and this one here I am going to have to chop up a little bit. So I cut the sentiment in half, then I just trimmed down either end just to make it a tiny bit smaller so that I could fit it onto my photo. It's a really busy photo, and adding those little white sentiments, I think they don't stand out too much, but I probably wouldn't have been able to stamp anything else on there. Now I'm going to use these really gorgeous gold puffy alphas from the kit. They're so pretty and so tiny and have so many E's. I'm going to add a few little words on here. So this photo, again, it wasn't super poor lighting, and I did turn it into a black and white photo, so there's a lot of heavy sort of blackness on there, which does mean that those alphas stand out a lot more than they do on this photo here. But this is what I was saying, I want to sort of add my kind of recipe, which is just going to be adding a gold title, I guess, a tiny little word that that suits the photo. And I did decide to add the third one at the top of the Lily walk photo, even though I had already stamped on it. It just made sense to me to put a title on there. And please note that I did go and find my tweezers to make this process a lot easier. Wasn't trying to faff around with my fingers, trying to get it straight. I did do the right thing and get the tweezers. Now this photo here, I really wanted to use these 1, 2, 3 tags, and it has very little to do with the photo. The photo actually, you know, it's just one of those random sort of weekend photos. So it worked nicely with the theme of the kit, but not necessarily these numbers. I just really liked the look of them having the 1, 2, 3, plus it gave me another chance to add a little bit more of that pink onto there. I have added the one pink tag, and that's where I really liked the idea of adding a little bit more pink into here just to add a few of these extra colors. So I'm adding the sentiment good morning on top of there. This is sort of my weekend morning routine, sitting down at the desk and editing videos for you guys with a lot of coffee. And so that's the whole story behind this photo. You'll notice there isn't a lot of journaling going on this week. In fact, zero. I'm back to zero journaling again this week, and I'm okay with that. I had the extra photos, and you'll all know I'm not a huge journaler on these Project Life spreads, so I'm letting the sort of sentiments and the words that I'm putting on here tell the story instead of writing anything. So this is another chance for me to add a little bit of sort of extra color, staying away from that kind of teal, yellow, pink color scheme. I'm adding a couple of chipboard stickers, and I am trying to keep, trying to keep the sentiments relevant, but also adding some of those blue tones in there just to tone the whole sort of theme down a little bit. Now the last thing I've got to do is work on my title card, and when I went through that Weekend Life stamp set, I had a pretty good idea of what I was going to do here. I do want to make sure I add some colors into here, so I'm going back to some of the papers that I have already used, but also this really gorgeous pink house paper. Now there's this kind of tab stamp on here. It gives you just an outline of a tab, and I'm going to stamp onto the back of these papers and pretty much just use it as a template. But what I really liked is it does end up giving me that third tab option back again, which was what I really wanted. So I'm stamping it very close to the top. I just used a black ink. It's not going to matter what color it is because it's going to be on the back. And I'm using that as a guideline for using my trimmer and my scissors to trim out this tab of paper. And when I flip this over, it's going to be at the top of my pattern paper. And that gives me a chance to work out how tall I want this sort of tab file to fit onto the card for my title card, sorry. I'm going to repeat this process twice. I want the pink at the front, so that's sort of the heaviest amount of color, and I'm going to do it again. I did just ghost stamp this one, and then I can trim that out again from this 4x6 piece, and that gives me my second tab, and then I can layer those two pieces together. I just trimmed that down, so it's roughly about an inch or so high off the bottom. It's giving me a little bit of color, but not too much. I'm getting that pink and the teal, and then to add the yellow in, I'm going to add this little, it's not really a label, it kind of had like an arrow at the bottom of it, and I've hidden that underneath my fake files here, but that gives me a space to put my date stamping in. Now, where I've placed all of these things was just kind of random, and so I wanted to see whether I could manage to fit the week 6 in here, which luckily I did. You can see there was no planning in there involved at all. It just happened to fit, and then I can very squishily stamp my date stamps in here. I'm definitely not going to be able to fit both months on there, so I'm just using a bit of scrap paper to mask that. It does kind of fit. Can add my little heart, and then that is this layer all finished. Now, like I said, I really love this kit. It is so gorgeous. The colors are just beautiful, and I love how this turned out. So I will leave the links for everything I've used down below in the description box. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. If you want to keep watching, there are a couple more videos on screen. Otherwise, I'll see you next time. Bye guys.